I know.
Oh, you played it before?
I haven't played it before, but I saw play one.
Oh, okay. It's the same game or different game? Who won that last one? You did? You don't know. I beat him like 3 times last week. Why you don't let this kid beat you? Don't let him beat you, man.
Hey guys, this is Tom. This was a kind of a miniature game between Tom and David, and David is usually one of the strongest players in the club. He's very positional, and he's usually the one that makes you make mistakes, kind of maneuvers his pieces very well, and puts a lot of pressure on you. But in this game, uncharacteristically, he made 2 blunders and a mistake early on in the game, and it really cost him. So let's look at this game from the very beginning, because it was only about 13 moves. So we get d4, knight f6, knight f3, c6. So this is the Czech Indian defense. And then we get knight bd2, d5, c3, and then bishop to f5. So black's trying to get the bishop out before he closes the chain with e6, which is kind of a typical structure to play for. Now David goes for h3, and we get e6, and here David lashes out with g4. So this is all fine. Then we get bishop to g6, develops the bishop to bishop g2, and then Tom plays bishop to d6 here. Okay, so here David goes for this move, knight to h4. And this is where I want to start the analysis, because this move, if you're going to play this move, your intention is obviously to get rid of this light squared bishop. Otherwise, the knight is looking kind of silly. So after this, we get knight b to d2. And here is where David makes his first mistake in the game. Here he should have just basically taken that bishop, right? Because that's the whole idea why you played there. The other ideas you could go for is you could go for something like queen to b3, putting some extra pressure here. Or you could potentially also just break with c4 here, right? And so those are kind of the 3 main ideas, and this is, I think, what Tom was expecting in the game. But instead, in this position, David goes for the move e3, and the reason this is a mistake is that, this bishop can now save itself, right? Because when you push e3, the bishop can now land here, and Tom did spot this, and he did, play this move. And so now this knight is looking pretty silly here. And notice the, white king is not castling. And so it's not like, black's winning or anything, but this is already a bit of an inaccuracy or a mistake, because really white should have gotten rid of that bishop right away. Okay, so the game continues with knight h to f3, and yeah, white has to bring that knight back because, it wasn't really doing anything there anymore. And here, Tom goes for knight e4. And yeah, this is a good move because it puts additional pressure. Also, if white trades here, right, we can just solidify that bishop there. So he doesn't mind the trade. And, also prepares the other knight to jump in to solidify this knight potentially also. So I think this was a good forward move to make for him. Now David here, and this is where he blunders the game away. He plays knight to g1. Now, this is just a really weird move, I think, because I don't understand. Maybe he's trying to reroute the knight, but the problem here is you can't really allow black to kind of swarm the king side like this and not do anything about it. And also notice here that by playing g4 earlier, white has weakened the dark squares around his king, right? And so here Tom thinks for a while, and he comes up with the best move, which is basically just take the pawn and sacrifice the knight. And the whole reason is, like I said, the dark squares are weak, right? On the king side, the bishop is already controlling on the light squares, and this is very dangerous for white already. Now here, David, takes the knight off, which is the 3rd blunder. Now, believe it or not, you can't actually take this knight because this leads to a quick checkmate. But if he didn't take the knight and let's say he moved his king, he's just gonna lose the rook. He's gonna be down in exchange, and his position's gonna be bad. So he just doesn't even basically calculate. He just says, "Yeah, I gotta take this." So he takes the knight off. Of course, queen h4 comes with the devastating check here. And notice how powerful this bishop. It cuts off the king. This queen cuts off the king. So the king only has one place to go, and that's forward. So we get king f3, and here's where Tom misses an easy checkmated one. All you have to do is slide the queen here, and it's like game over. But he, for some reason, he didn't see this, and he automatically assumed that, you know, if he goes for e5, this is gonna end, and it does. It basically go from a checkmate in 1 to a mate in 3, and so the position is still basically overwhelmingly good, but you could have just ended the game right there. But so here David, really only good move here he finds it is e4. You can't allow a black to push, because in that case then you just get checkmated right away, because the bishop, the queen, and both bishops, the queen cut off everything from the king, so this would have just game over. So white has to push this pawn, and here Tom takes d, and here David resigns, because there really isn't no defense. This is still a checkmate threat. If you push the pawn, then here, you know, just get knight takes e5, then you have to go up, and then there's this nice checkmate of just g5, and that ends the game. The other move white can consider is playing knight e2, but the problem here is we have queen f6 check. Now again, the king, there aren't any squares for the king to go, so the only thing you can do is block with a knight, and then this ends in a checkmate as well. So this game was a nice illustration of what you're not supposed to do in the, you know, in the opening of a chess game. And the first one is moving the same piece several times. In this game, the knight went from, you know, its starting position to f3 to h4 and back to f3 and then back to g1. So it moved 4 times, and then it ended in its initial position, which is a wasted time, right? The second is, if your opponent swarms or puts a lot of pieces around your king, in this case the bishop on d3 and the knight, you know, on e4 was already putting a lot of pressure around the king, you have to, if you get a chance, to remove those pieces or trade them off. And the third thing is, you don't want to be pushing pawns on the king side and weakening squares around your king. And all those things happened in this game, and that's why the game ended so quickly. And of course, this happens to all of us at some point in time, and we just try to learn and not repeat those things in the future. But anyway, let me guys know what you thought of this game in the comments below. Please share, like, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.